Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Duck Duck Goose. Are we doing jazz hands?
Jazz hands.
My name is a-trak. My soulmate here is
Armand Van Helden. I'm like doing a loop, but
the luau. You're almost wearing. You're wearing a luau, but a white gold or so. Is that white gold or silver?
I think it's aluminum.
So the year is almost wrapping up. How are you doing? How you feeling today?
Good. I'm in high spirits. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. We need that. We need those vibes. We got a really fun episode of Duck Duck Goose today. As we always do, we're gonna start with some food talk. Gonna put some sauce on it.
Put the sauce on it.
So, full disclosure, we're going to be perfectly honest with our listeners. We're running out of recipes, both of us. Right? We don't know what to say
Well, we
anymore.
should be honest and say we have been running out of recipes.
We've been running out of recipes.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing in the kitchen. We've been able to keep this illusion going for a couple episodes, but we're out. We got nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
So, but we were thinking actually constructively, and as people who make music, this is interesting too. We can talk about snacks today, because for anyone who makes music, you're putting in long hours in the studio. Snacking is important. So let's just both talk about what are a few of our favorite snacks. I keep a bunch of different kinds of nuts at the house and legumes. If we're going to include cashews, I love cashews. Unsalted, ideally not even roasted, just raw. It's good to combine something that has that's more on the protein side with something that's a little bit on the fiber side. So I'm a big fruit and nut snacker. So I might have like an apple and some nuts, or a banana and some nuts, or a bowl of pomegranate, cashews, almonds, walnuts, macadamia nuts, even seeds, sunflower seeds, all that stuff. I like Go Macro bars. Some jerky. Jerky's great. And a couple of cheeses. Keep a couple of cheeses around the house. Cut up some carrots. Carrots and hummus is a cool little combo that I like to do. Or cut up some celery or some cucumber. Mix that with some sort of dip. Maybe a tapenade. I feel like that covers my realm of snacks.
Yeah, it's very charcuterie. The cheeses and the nuts and the pomegranates, it's very charcuterie. Yeah.
What's your snack game like, and what's your
Well, I am in agreement with everything that you just said, because I do that as well. But so for me, I get what I like to do is, again, very quick, easy things to throw together. So I just literally buy those bags at Trader Joe's of arugula, and I pick up the, organic cherry or grape tomatoes, and get shredded carrots and stuff. I like to make salads a lot. And cucumba. What's that?
Cucumba.
Cucumba. And I love cucumba.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that rap because I don't remember it. But some of my favorite foods, like when people go to dinner, a salad's kind of just like this thing to get you going. It's kind of like one of my favorite things to eat. There's always some new invention. Like I'll go to some place, like last night I was at Macchialina. It's a place here in Miami Beach. And it was just an amazing salad. I never tasted anything. I couldn't even explain everything out I was eating in it. And I was like, I haven't had a salad like this. Macchialina is an Italian place, but this salad was like perfection. I was like, oh my God. The crazy thing is I can't even remember everything that's in it now. But it was wonderful. But anyway, my thing is salad.
Great.
That's my main snack. And one of the simple things that I do, the easiest thing, and I love tomato. This is going to sound strange, but I almost feel like if I go a few days without eating tomatoes, something's off. I don't know what it is. I don't know why my body's telling me stuff like that. But if I go like 2 days, 48 hours, and there's no tomato that went down in my body, my body's literally like, what's up with them tomatoes? Like, what are we doing? It's weird. And I'll be like, as soon as I eat the tomatoes, I'm like, yeah, now I'm good. It's very strange. I can't explain it. But I'll make simply cherry tomato or grape tomato, cut them in half really fast. And I have this salad dressing called Cindy's of Brockton. So Brockton, Massachusetts. Banging salad dressing. Because I don't have the time to like make this beautiful salad dressing or whatever. I just literally, it's in a jar. You shake it and you pour it. So I pour it in just the cut in half tomatoes in a bowl. And that's kind of like my version of what my father would do. He'd do with the cucumba. But I would do with the tomatoes. And it's banging. Just with the Cindy's of Brockton. The one that I get is Bartolona vinaigrette.
Okay.
That's the one. But yeah, so that's my thing. I'm a salad snacking fool.
expect any less. All right. Should we get into the stars?
Let's do it. This is the section where we do Ellen and I's horoscope for the week. And I'm an Aquarius. Ellen is Aries. And by the way, I was having a conversation with somebody that Aquarius has Aries in the word. Yay!
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
So it's Aquarius. There it is. So it's like, we're already in. We're already in.
I'm an extension of you.
Yeah. Or vice versa. So
okay.
This is for Aries. It's exhilarating to live by your instincts, to be sure of yourself and your powers, to make big, brave choices without waiting for permission. But it can be difficult to live this way for long. No matter how bold your spirit, no matter how pure your heart, everyday life tends to fill up with the heaviness of routine, with dullness of repetition, with anxiety and doubt. This week, though, you can shake all those cobwebs out of your head. This week, you can believe in beginnings again. You can rediscover the faith in yourself you've been missing.
You know, I've been feeling the cobwebs the last couple of weeks. I'm ready to shake those cobwebs off. The end of the year, you know, the end of the year is.
I'm with you on that too.
Yeah, man. Right?
Yeah.
Armand, you've spent so much of your life learning to adapt to constraints. You've spent so much of your life learning to work within limits, to live boldly in spite of all the ways the world stifles real creativity, real freedom, real possibility. This week, however, it's valuable to think not about how you'll adapt to every barrier, but about how you might tear some of them down. It's valuable to consider that maybe working within the lines is no longer enough. Maybe real freedom is the only thing worth aiming for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're going to bring in our guest for Duck Duck Goose. I know we've been wanting to talk to a duck specialist for a while, right? We are obviously Duck Sauce. We know we're ducks, but we might not be sure what that means, or just like we need a little bit of soul searching, right? Like some sort of clarity. We found this amazing scientist, biologist. Her name is Patricia Brennan, but we call her Patty. And it just so happens that her specialty and a lot of her studies and papers are about duck penises. She also just knows a lot about ducks. This is great. Really enjoyed talking to her, and I think we should just bring her in. All right. Patty Brennan, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Duck Duck Goose. Thanks for being here. So I'm Alain, my bandmate is Armand, and we are Duck Sauce. And we're really happy to talk to you today. And maybe to give our viewers some context, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we even start talking?
Well, you want the sort of little bio? Then I'm a biologist. I'm a professor. Yeah, I'm a biology professor at Mount Holyoke College here in Massachusetts. And I happen to work with ducks, but also other animals. So what I work on is I actually work on the evolution of genitalia. So I look at the genital organs of all sorts of animals, including ducks.
Including ducks.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to find out about ourselves today.
Well, ducks were my first ducks, so to speak. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah, just out of curiosity, where did you grow up also?
Colombia.
In Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I read on your bio yesterday too, and got a little bit familiarized with your work, but figured that we would just talk anyways.
Of course.
Cool. So as you can see on Armand's t-shirt, we are ducks, but we need to know more about ourselves. So we've been doing some of these YouTube conversations and podcast conversations with various people. We've been talking to some musician friends and some of our musical heroes on this series, but we've also talked to other interesting people, and we really wanted to talk to somebody about ducks. So I think that's what we're mostly going to do with you today. So Armand and I chose this name, Duck Sauce, over 10 years ago, and we kind of ran with it. And what started as a bit of an inside joke, maybe to be honest here, it's one of those like when people ask us, why did you choose the name Duck Sauce? It's kind of like just to make people ask that question. Like, it's just a funny name to us. But I think with time, we ended up having like duck merchandise and a giant inflatable duck on stage and all this stuff. Right. And both Armand and I are curious individuals, and there's something we like about the duck in general. But, maybe there's some insight that you could help give us today, where it's like sort of instinctively we like the idea of being ducks and identifying with the ducks, but like, does it make any sense for the duck to be the musical? Is there anything we should know about, I don't know, the quack or anything? Like, what are we really doing here?
When it comes to sounds that ducks make, they're really not terribly musical. I'm sorry, you guys. I know. They're not songbirds, right? Like songbirds are little passerines and the little guys who are like flying about in your bird feeders and whatnot. Ducks are not that. So they, they do have their quacks. They do have some displays where they can make sound, but their sounds are really not the thing that they're most famous for. In fact, what they're most famous for is their dancing. So the question is, how is your dancing? Are you guys good dancers?
Yes. Well,
he's a good dancer. Armand's
I'm a break dancer. So ducks break dance.
Oh man! So then
they can do a windmill, head spin, hang glide.
So there's a connection there. That's right. That's your connection with the duck right there.
Great.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the dancing.
So there are two things about ducks that make them really interesting, and a big reason why a lot of biologists have studied them, for decades. They're amazing dancers, but they're amazing dancers in the context of female choice. So the ones that are doing most of the dancing are the males. And then the males also are really beautiful. So when you look at ducks and you see the ducks with the beautiful plumage and the beautiful colors, those are also the males. So the males are essentially going out of their way to make themselves beautiful and attractive to the females. And so they dance, they have pretty feathers. And so their dance is all about showing off their feathers, right? And showing off their colors and
that's how we dance too.
Yeah, well,
we show our feathers.
I think that's how everybody dances, honestly.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's similar to peacock behavior, the male just saying, hey, choose me. It's that sort of thing.
They're boring. I mean, peacocks are boring comparatively because all they do is like open their tail. And then they're like, look at me, but they're not really.
We know. Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing anything.
The peacocks are all hype. It's all hype.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all marketing.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. No, with the ducks is really, the males are just doing this amazing display for the females. And so as it turns out, most people, and a lot of people know this about ducks, is that they tend to pair. And people think they pair for life. They really don't pair for life. They pair seasonally, right?
Okay.
So the males will dance and they'll show off their pretty feathers. And then the females are like, oh, I like you. Because, females like males that are more energetic in their dancing and the ones that are more beautiful.
That's also human beings.
Yeah. To some extent. I don't know. I tell you, I've seen some dance displays that have been a bit of a turn off. So you gotta find the sweet spot right there.
Yeah.
Oh, turn off. Yeah. But me growing up and going to house music, growing up with house music, there was always a circle in house music, and the guys would dance and battle each other, and it would be surrounded by the hottest girls in the nightclub, and they were all like sizing the guys up by how they move. I'm not making that up, because generally the best dancers would score the hottest girl. And I'm not making that up. So not much has changed from the animal kingdom, I should say.
That's right. So. That's right. I mean, people have that argument about dancing in humans, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, maybe. But anyway, so that's, I think that's going to be your kinship and your connection with the ducks is going to be about the dancing and the, having fun kind of thing.
Yeah. And then, So I grew up in Canada. In Canada, there's ducks, but there's also loons. We put the loon on our $1 coin. They call that coin the loonie. The loons are singers, right? But ducks aren't the same as birds. Are loons closer to ducks or closer to birds?
Well, I mean, the ducks are birds. Let's just start with that. So birds are anybody who's got feathers is a bird.
Okay.
So that's your clue.
Okay.
So if you got feathers, you're a bird. Flying is not really the thing. It's like the feathers.
Got it.
So loons are not ducks.
Mm-hmm.
They are in their own separate group of birds. And they're not even closely related to ducks at all.
Okay.
And loons are very musical. Yeah, they have those amazing vocalizations, and they use those. The males use those to like defend their territory, right?
Mm.
So that they're calling and they're saying like, "This is my turf. Don't come over here." And they have those peaks, you know. They have
the gang members.
Yeah. It's like rap.
It's like they're throwing
the gang signs.
Throwing gang signs.
And they have these very sharp beaks. And the loons, you know, they dive very down into the lakes, and they pop right up under their competitors, and they'll stab them to death with their beak. They're like,
so they really are like gang members. Okay.
Oh, they are.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. No, loons are no joking matter.
Don't mess with them. Okay.
Don't mess with them. Don't mess with them.
Yeah, but my parents have a country house by a lake, and my mom goes swimming in this lake. It's a really calm lake because there's no anything, no motorboats allowed on that lake. And then a couple months ago, my mom was really excited. She called me after a swim, and she was like, "There was a loon on the lake," and she sent me like a recording of the loons singing, and she said she never heard anything like it.
It's beautiful, and it's like if you watch movies, like pretty much every movie that's like a summer movie, a summer camp, or anything like that, there's like a loon called somewhere. Or if you're scary,
I know what that sound is. Yeah,
you know, scary in the woods at night, they'll play a loon, and I'm like, that's not. Not in the book, but it's like it's such a haunting sound, right?
Right.
Got it.
They use it for that, you know. Scare people, I guess.
I was also thinking about. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say that, you know, so the thing is, I don't study loons at all because they don't have penises.
Right.
Ducks do.
Let's get to, so you've done a lot of studies on the duck penises. Mm-hmm. Which I understand is corkscrew shaped.
It is indeed, yeah.
And
somebody just told me this recently too. Go continue, but I heard they can move it. Is this correct? Like they can in other words, if I'm a duck, I'm standing still and I have a corkscrew in front of me. I can move it like this or something.
No,
that's not true.
No. That's not true. Okay. Somebody lied to you. No.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Well, we're here to learn about ourselves, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So here's where like my relationship with ducks changes to a love-hate relationship. Yeah. Because ducks are super cool, right? They're beautiful and they dance and they do the whole thing. But they also have a really dark side to their behavior, and that is that in many species of ducks, and so there are more than 150 species of ducks, so there are many species, and in some of those species, the males actually don't get females at all. So you know how I told you they pair up and they're like, oh yeah, we're together, yay.
Yeah.
There are always more male ducks than female ducks. So there is always some guys who are going to be bachelors, no matter what. Yeah. And in some species of ducks, those bachelor guys, they fly around to the breeding areas, and they find females who are paired with other males, and they fly down and they force them to copulate. They force them to have sex.
Mm-hmm. We don't like that.
No, we don't like that at all. And they use their nasty corkscrew-shaped penises to actually do it.
Mm.
And so it's a really interesting behavior, and it's part of the reason why I became interested in ducks. This is something that is called sexual complex.
But is in the animal world would that could be considered dark? Because that's just, I would think we're humans and we think that's not right. But I'm assuming in the animal world, it's about procreate. It's about keeping ducks going. So it's not a personal thing, like
of course,
or a fetish. It's like, I have a thing ready to go. I need to put it in something. We need to make babies here. It's nothing like they're actually trying to be sadistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. You're 100% right, and that is that is just me like being personally horrified for those females who are subjected to this behavior.
Yeah. It must be interesting to look at the question of consent in animals.
Well,
it's interesting.
So what is cool about the ducks, though, is that you know that the female already made a choice, right? You already know she chose the duck that she's hanging out with. That's different than in other animals. For example, in cheetahs, where when the male and the female are going to mate, the female runs away from the male. Like she's like, "Oh, you want to have sex? Okay," and she's out of there. And he has to catch her first, right? And so when you look at a female cheetah, like she always runs away. So are you like, is she into it or is she not into it? Because she's always going to run away. So how do you know? And so that is more, to your point, Armand, of like, are we imposing our ideas of what is?
I'm just wondering if it's actually just more about procreation than anything actually being bad. But I see it in our view of it. It seemes really bad. But I think for a duck, a duck doesn't necessarily need to think like that.
A duck has, of course, they have very different, social arrangements and so, but then that kind of interaction is called sexual conflict, and it's something that's very common in the animal kingdom, where because you would think when you come together for reproduction, males and females agree on, okay, we want to have babies, so that's something we have in common, therefore let's make it happen. It doesn't quite work out like that many, many times. So it's more like everybody has their own selfish evolutionary interests at heart. And so there is a lot of conflict between males and females. And the ducks are a great example of that. And so the males have these penises, and what I found out was that the size of the penis, the length of the penis of the male, is correlated with the proportion of these forced copulations that they do. So species where the males have enormous penises are species where those forced copulations happen more often.
Wow.
And so that was kind of like a really, okay, well, that's a cool part of the story. But then the coolest part of the story is not about the penises at all. It's about the vaginas. That's what
talk about it.
So what has happened is that the female ducks have responded to these forced copulations by evolving very convoluted vaginas themselves. So when the males have these long penises that they can use to force copulations on females, females are like, nah. And they have these vaginas that are like a labyrinth.
Wow.
And they can completely block the male in his attempts.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
And it is amazing because it's like, this is like an evolutionary process that I saw it. Like you look at these structures and it is so obvious, and it was just amazing to see how females could because you start feeling bad for the females. You're like, oh, these females, these males are coming down and they're doing this horrible thing, and the females are like, ha ha ha, the joke is on you, like I'm gonna make my vagina a labyrinth.
Right, the female says I can play that game too.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so
that's pretty crazy.
Fascinating, crazy biology.
That is cool. And nature always finds a way, as they say, right?
Right.
So,
100%. And what was funny is that when I actually discovered this and I started publishing papers on this, so many people started contacting me, and they just wanted to tell me about their ducks that they have seen in their pond, in their house. And so what you were saying at the beginning of how you have inflatable ducks and duck merchandise, people love ducks. They absolutely love ducks. And so many people just wrote to me out of the blue, you study ducks, I have ducks at home, or this and that. They're just
that's wonderful.
Well, ducks, when I think about ducks, it's like I look at the animal kingdom and I feel like they're already like a mixed breed or a hybridization, because it's like a flying platypus thing. Like, what is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it looks like it's a very, to me,
they're different.
They're different. They're just totally different. Like, I mean, they just kind of, to me, they're like three animal branches in one. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like they're super steezy with it and stylistic with it. You know, because they can look like they can walk, be bipedal.
Waddle.
Waddle,
and then they're like amphibious, I guess, somewhat. They can dive in the water, they can come up, they can fly, they can dance, they have corkscrew penises, they look like they have all they're lacking is that little poison dart from the platypus, they just actually think about it, they don't even have a defense mechanism. They just do that hissing thing, right? It scares the hell out of you.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's the funniest.
That hissing thing scares you. So
Well,
they're kind of like, you know what it is they remind me of a dinosaur. A duck's head, at least, reminds me of like some kind of ancient dinosaur.
Well, a lot of birds remind me of dinosaurs. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
I was looking at pictures of like a bunch of kinds of storks recently, and some of them just look like they're from a million years ago.
Oh, just look at shoebill.
Yeah.
You know shoebills? They're those stork-related birds.
Yep.
Those guys are like, oh, freaky.
Yeah. So when I was reading about some of your studies yesterday, I don't know if you're tired of talking about this, but there is one point I want to get to with it, because I understand that when people found out that you were doing research about duck penises, I know there was like this whole controversy around it, and all these conservative Fox type publications were outraged that there was grants being awarded to you to study something that might seem trivial or silly, like duck genitalia. And so I read something that you wrote that I thought was super interesting, because, and tell me if I understood this right. I feel like some people first kind of came to your defense and said, oh no, this kind of stuff is interesting because through scientific research, we can find applied solutions, and maybe it'll be medical and this and that. And if I understand correctly, you sort of added a layer of subtlety that said, hey, you know what? It's not even only about finding these sort of applicable solutions. Basic science is important, and we shouldn't always think in this sort of product-centric mindset that says that science has to serve us right away. We have to maintain just general research of basic science. That if I understand it well, that's the point that you made, and I love that. I mean, both Armand and I are have a lot of curiosity towards science, and I think it's important for people to remember that not everything has to be turned into some sort of product or medicine or this and that, right? Yeah. And so maybe in your words, do you want to tell our viewers your views on this sort of this general idea of basic science?
So I think you got it exactly right. So there is that argument to be made about how basic science help us turn things into applications. And we want applications because we're spending government money. We want things that are tangible, economic benefits to society. Mm-hmm. Those generally are medical or economic, some kind of product that you invented or whatever. And so that basic science has a role to play in there. But of course, there is also the aspect of, you've never met someone who got into science because they were like, oh yeah, I really want to develop a drug.
Right.
Like when you're a kid, you're running around chasing salamanders in your backyard. You're just fascinated by the animals, right? You're like, what's it doing? Yeah. What does it look like? We have entire channels dedicated to animal behavior. We're fascinated by animals, right? And this is a part of being human that's really crucial to who we are as a species, right? And our relationship to the natural world.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important, but I'm always a little worried of making this point more broadly because, I've heard people and my colleagues have said something like, well, isn't it just our curiosity, that we're driven by curiosity as humans. We just want to explain the world around us and know how it works. And I think that's true. It's certainly true for me. I'm curious. I want to explain the world around me. I want to understand how these things happen. That's why I'm a scientist. But what I've come to realize is that there are a lot of people out there who are not curious at all. They do not share that quality of my mind and my life with me. And for them,
it's the wonder, right? Like the sense of wonder.
Exactly. And a lot of people just don't have that. You know what I mean? And it is hard to ask people who don't share that sense of wonder and curiosity to pay for my curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so it becomes a really hard argument. And so what I've realized is that there are, you know, when you make this argument of really what's cool about that basic science is that we are broadening the base of our understanding of how the world works. And on the top of that pyramid, sit the applications. So the broader the base of that pyramid, the more applications we'll have. If we start eroding our understanding of the world, then we won't really get so many benefits to ourselves. And I think Louis Pasteur, his analogy was something like he was a tree and the fruits of the tree. And it's the same idea, right? If you chop the tree, if you cut the limbs, you'll have no fruit, right?
Yeah.
It's the same relationship. And so I do agree that at a personal level, curiosity and you know, the desire to understand nature and how the world works is a powerful drive for why we do basic science. But I think it's a hard argument to make, especially in the States, in the current moment that we are.
Yeah, it is. It's so important, though. I mean, even on a personal level, my dad, when I was growing up, my dad was a linguist, and he worked at sort of linguistics center that was funded by universities in Montreal. And I remember when he lost his funding, and him telling me this sort of sobering conclusion that it's hard to get people to pay for something that might not be applicable right away, but that he still, to him, was very important for the advancement of our knowledge. But yeah, I get it.
And the thing is that you don't know, right? And that's the point that I have made over and over. Ducks, you know, one of the things I discover about their penises is that every year they shrink and then they grow back again the next year.
Whoa.
And when they grow back again the next year, they grow bigger.
Why do they shrink?
Is seasonal breeding, just like birds do everything seasonally with their breeding. So their gonads, their testes grow in the spring, and then they shrink in the summer. Okay. It's just extra weight and extra tissues to
extra weight.
Yeah. It's just, you know, why would you want to maintain all these things you're not using, right?
That's by the way, that's why they waddle, right? Them shits are heavy, right?
I love that explanation. Yeah. And so their penis also shrinks at the end of the summer, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next year it regrows again. But when it regrows from the base that it had the previous year. So what it means is as the males get older, their penises get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Wow.
Yes.
That's cool.
Okay. So this is what I figured, right? I collected all this data. I don't know how they do this. You know, there's got to be some weird molecular stuff going on there, some weird genetic stuff going in there. That's not the kind of biology that I do. But if somebody takes that and actually really figures out how this is happening, imagine if we figure out, you know, maybe ducks have stem cells in their penises that they can use to regrow the penis every year. And maybe we can use that.
I have an idea. Why it gets bigger as they get older. I have an idea. So what it is because they shouldn't be doing it anymore. And so what it is they're going down trying to be with the females, and they already had their time. They partied, you know, they got their thing in. Now they should just chill out. So it goes really big, so they don't fit in none of the ducks.
It gets cumbersome.
It's too big for the ducks. For the females.
Maybe.
And they're just like, get that thing out of here. It's too big. I'm just.
I don't know, but the point is that, you know, like,
there could be stem cells, like you said.
That could be something. Like, you know, in 20 years, somebody figures out some medical application from that. How cool would that be? But I don't know, and I can't predict it, right? Like, I can't say, oh, yeah, I'm going to figure out, you know, something cool about duck penis size. Like, how would you know? You don't know until you know.
But is the duck penis? Because me and a-trak have said in interviews, we're being funny because that's just what we do. But or at least we try to be. But we've said in interviews that the mallard duck has the biggest penis in the animal kingdom per ratio, body weight, size to body weight ratio. So basically, in general, is proportionally. Thank you.
Okay.
Exactly. Is that a truth or non-truth?
No, it's not the mallard duck. It's the American ruddy duck.
What? Oh, it's a duck. It's the what duck? What duck?
The American ruddy duck.
Ruddy duck?
Ruddy.
Like a Rottweiler?
Like a RUDDY, ruddy.
Ruddy duck. Wow.
Oh, ruddy. Mm-hmm. Never heard of it.
So look them up when we're done here. They're my favorite duck.
Okay. I was just going to ask you if you have a favorite duck. Okay, the ruddy duck.
The ruddy duck is my favorite duck. Yeah. They're tiny ducks. They're like little guys. And they have bright blue bills.
Yeah.
Bright, beautiful blue bills is a structural color. It's not pigment.
Okay.
Okay.
It's absolutely it's beautiful.
Okay.
The males have a display, so they also do the normal quacking, but they also do a bubble display where they smack their bill against their chest. And they make these bubble currents on the surface that are just absolutely beautiful. They have these enormous penises, and they have an incredible attitude. They are these tiny little things, and you would go grab them, and they're like, they're like fishes. They're like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you with my bill, And
wow.
They're just amazing. I just love ruddy ducks. So look them up and you'll see. So those are the guys who have the biggest penis.
So that's a truth that in the whole animal kingdom, every elephants, everything.
Not the whole animal kingdom, vertebrates.
Invertebrates, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, invertebrates. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So
okay,
we'll take that.
No, if you start putting invertebrates in there, we lose to snails. Like there are some snails and slugs that have penises that are like 10 times the size of that.
That's not fair. That's fine. Okay. They're playing another game.
Yeah. That's
so things with backbones. When it comes to things with backbones, then yes.
Okay.
A whale is a vertebrate, right?
Oh, yeah.
So proportionally, ducks have bigger penises than whales.
Much bigger.
Yes. Much bigger.
They have penises.
Of course.
They have penises that are longer than the male himself.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, enormous.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And some of them have spines at the base of the penis, too.
Okay, this is, wow. Fascinating stuff. You've been to the Galapagos Islands, right? You've done some studies there?
Yeah.
What's it like over there?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I haven't been back, right? So I went there as soon as I finished my undergrad in Colombia. I'm a marine biologist, actually, by training.
Yeah. Okay.
And so when I graduated, I joined this boat that was doing research in the Galapagos, and they were doing research on whales and dolphins. And it was absolutely unbelievable. And so, we were on a boat, on a sailboat, a 98-foot ketch, 2 masts. And we had a compressor on the boat. So we just went scuba diving everywhere. And we saw the most amazing things. And sometimes I'm like, did I dream that? Like, it seems like it was just too beautiful to be true,
Wow.
And so from what I've seen now, there was a Galapagos special on BBC not too long ago. The islands have changed dramatically. And so I really want to go back before they're really wrecked completely, because there's a lot of fishing and too much tourism. But it's one of the most spectacular places.
Wow.
Yeah, in the world. It's just breathtaking.
Amazing.
If you're a biologist, this is what Darwin came up with.
Yeah.
The theory of evolution, right? And so it's like a really meaningful, really amazing place.
Great. Well, we should go.
My favorite story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my favorite Galapagos story before we go.
Okay.
This will make you want to go. So we were on this boat, right? And at night, we would have dolphins come over and bow ride on the on our wake.
The front of the boat, yeah.
The front of the boat, yeah. So they're the boat is going and the dolphins are coming and they're jumping up and down. But there are times of the year where the bioluminescence is incredible. So you're sitting out there in the dark and you see these torpedoes of light coming to your boat, and then they jump out of the water and they explode on a crazy explosion of blue light. Wow. And it is the most spectacular thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
That particular thing I want to see that.
It is really amazing. Something else. It is really something.
That's cool.
Great.
Bucket list.
Well, thanks so much for talking to us. We really learned a lot.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
well,
thank you.
I hope you still want to keep the name.
Yes.
Good.
Oh, 100. Now it's like we're going to turn into duck nationalists.
There you go.
We're going to be more macho now.
Yeah, we were kind of, yeah, exactly. We're going to be all Dutch machismo now.
Machismo. All right.
Great.
Very good.
Well, thanks.
Cool. Thanks.
Yes, and continue your great work, please.
Yes.
Oh, well, sure. I will do.
Cool. Great. Okay.
Very good to meet you guys.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
All right, take care.
Bye, Sam.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.